As we age, what do we truly seek in life? Is it the comfort of being surrounded by children and grandchildren? Or is it the peaceful companionship of a life partner? Many people believe that in their later years, they should depend on their children, thinking that after a lifetime of hard work raising them, it's now their turn to repay the favor. But this belief isn't always realistic. Our children have their own lives, their own worries, and responsibilities. They cannot always be there to take care of us as we grow older. So, if we want to enjoy a peaceful and fulfilling old age, we must build 3 strong pillars to support us, not just rely on others. These pillars will provide the foundation for a life that is not only secure, but also filled with joy and purpose, no matter what comes our way. Pillar 1: Health. Many people believe that accumulating wealth is the key to enjoying a carefree and prosperous retirement. Yet they often forget the fundamental truth. Without good health, money loses its value. The saying "health is wealth" rings true in all circumstances, but it's often realized too late. When we are young, it's easy to get caught up in the hustle of career advancement, achieving success, and meeting the demands of daily life. We often trade our well-being for our ambitions, neglecting the importance of self-care. But as the years pass, we may find ourselves willing to trade everything we have, our money, our achievements, even our time, just to regain our health. Take the example of Susan and George, a couple in their mid-60s. Throughout their lives, they worked hard, saved diligently, and accumulated a comfortable nest egg. However, in their quest for financial security, both neglected their health. Susan, a high-powered lawyer, often skipped meals and worked late into the night, while George, a successful businessman, dismissed his doctor's advice about exercise and balanced nutrition. As they entered their 60s, Susan developed severe back pain that hampered her ability to move freely, while George struggled with high blood pressure and fatigue. Despite their wealth, they found themselves in and out of doctors' offices, unable to enjoy their retirement. The frustration of knowing that they had everything they thought they wanted except good health was crushing. If they had only prioritized their physical well-being in earlier years, their current situation would have been vastly different. The reality is, waiting until old age to focus on health is a mistake. A healthy body is the foundation of a joyful life. Regardless of how much money one has accumulated, the richest person in the world, constantly battling illness, might find little enjoyment in their wealth. Health allows us to truly enjoy the fruits of our labor, enabling us to travel, engage in meaningful hobbies, and spend quality time with those we love. As we grow older, our bodies naturally become weaker, and the reality is that our children may not always have the time, energy, or resources to care for us the way we might hope. While our children might want to help, they too are juggling their own responsibilities. Without good health, we risk becoming a burden to those we love, and no parent wants to feel like they are imposing on their children. Taking care of our health as we age doesn't just benefit ourselves, it also eases the worries of our children. In fact, maintaining our health is a responsibility we owe not only to ourselves but to our loved ones. It's essential to learn how to listen to our bodies, recognize what it needs, and make time for regular exercise, healthy eating, and self-care. A healthy lifestyle doesn't just prevent us from becoming a burden to others. It fills each day with energy, joy, and vitality. It's easy to underestimate the power of a healthy body, but it's the key to keeping our minds fresh, regardless of our age. By investing in our health today, we invest in a future that is not only full of promise, but also full of the strength and vitality to meet each new day with purpose and enthusiasm. Pillar 2: A life partner. As we approach the later years of our lives, happiness often comes from sharing moments of joy and success with our children and grandchildren. However, this is just one part of the story. At any age, we still crave companionship, love, and understanding, qualities that are uniquely provided by a life partner. The saying "the care of a spouse is more valuable than that of children" holds especially true for couples lucky enough to grow old together. This care goes beyond just sharing meals or helping each other with daily tasks. It encompasses the deep understanding that only a lifelong partner can offer. the kind of bond built through years of shared experiences and mutual respect. But what if life hasn't blessed you with a partner to grow old with? What if you're left to face the challenges of aging alone? Take the case of Linda and Paul, an elderly couple living in Florida. After spending nearly 40 years of their lives together, Paul passed away unexpectedly due to a heart attack. Linda, though financially stable and surrounded by children who loved her, was devastated. Despite their support, she found herself facing an emptiness that no amount of money or family care could fill. Every day seemed incomplete without Paul's presence. Linda's children, although understanding, didn't truly grasp the depth of their mother's grief. They offered their support in the best way they knew how, spending more time with her, arranging social events, and making sure she had everything she needed. But they were missing something: the companionship of a spouse. Linda confided in a friend at her local senior center, where she met Bob, a widower who shared her pain and longing for the same kind of deep connection. Their friendship blossomed into something more. But when Linda spoke of the possibility of marrying Bob, her children expressed their concerns. They feared judgment from the community and questioned whether it was wise to remarry at their age, especially considering the potential complications of finances and logistics. This scenario reflects a common challenge many older adults face. The need for companionship is often misunderstood or dismissed by family members, who may not fully comprehend the emotional toll of aging alone. Family can provide love and support, but no one can replace the unique bond formed with a life partner. In old age, having someone by your side is not only a source of comfort, but a vital part of happiness. It's about having a companion to share the quiet moments, to reminisce with, and to face the trials of growing older together. Even the most devoted children cannot be there for every moment. Expecting them to fill the role of a spouse is unrealistic. For the sake of personal happiness and to avoid becoming an emotional burden to your children, having a life partner during the later years is crucial. It's not about filling a void. It's about enriching the quality of life in your golden years. Whether it's finding a new partner after a loss or nurturing a long-standing relationship, companionship in old age is a gift that offers both emotional stability and joy. It is the shared laughter, the support, and the deep bond of mutual understanding that transform ordinary days into cherished memories. Pillar 3: Financial security. When we're young, it's easy to live life without thinking much about money. The freedom of youth often allows us to take risks, pursue dreams, and deal with life's ups and downs without the burden of financial worries. However, as we age, the need for financial stability becomes undeniable. In our younger years, health and opportunities are on our side, giving us the strength to face life's challenges. But as we grow older, our bodies weaken, illnesses become more frequent, and having financial security becomes critical. Take the story of Linda and Mike, a couple from Texas. Throughout their working lives, they lived modestly, saving only a little each year. Mike worked as an accountant, while Linda was a teacher. They assumed that their pension and Social Security would be enough for their retirement. However, as they neared their 70s, they realized that things weren't as simple as they had hoped. Their savings had barely grown, and medical expenses were skyrocketing due to Mike's increasing health problems. Though their children were successful and supportive, they were already burdened with their own mortgages and child-rearing costs. The couple found themselves relying on their children more than they had ever imagined, and that caused strain in their relationships. Linda, despite her strong sense of independence, struggled with the idea of becoming a financial burden. She hated the feeling of depending on others, especially when it came to the couple's medical bills and household needs. In another case, Robert, a widowed man in his 80s from California, lived a comfortable life until his wife passed away. Without her pension and his own limited savings, Robert found himself in a precarious situation. His children offered to help, but Robert felt uncomfortable accepting too much aid. As time passed, the worry of running out of money in his later years began to overshadow his enjoyment of life. Without financial security, he was left feeling vulnerable, unable to fully embrace his retirement years. This highlights the crucial importance of having financial security as we age. It provides not just the means to maintain health care, but also the freedom to live independently, without relying on the charity of others. With a stable financial foundation, you can continue to enjoy life's small pleasures without the constant stress of money-related concerns. For many elderly individuals, a lack of financial security can lead to feelings of anxiety and dependence, which only grow as their health declines. Stories of older adults being mistreated or abandoned often stem from financial dependence. Children, even the most loving ones, cannot always meet the financial needs of their aging parents, especially when their own lives are filled with pressures and obligations. This dependence can strain relationships and lead to unfortunate circumstances. Parents who love their children would never want to become a financial burden to them. That's why it's crucial to plan ahead, preparing for your later years through savings, investments, and careful financial management will not only allow you to maintain your dignity and independence, but also provide peace of mind. Whether it's having enough funds to hire help when needed or simply ensuring you have the means to care for yourself, being financially secure in your old age ensures you can live your final years with comfort and peace. In today's modern world, especially in the West, the approach to aging is becoming more proactive. Unlike traditional cultures where the primary reliance is on children for support in later life, many people are now focusing on preparing themselves through maintaining health, securing finances, and fostering relationships that bring joy and fulfillment. By taking charge of your own future, you can ensure a dignified, happy life, one that doesn't unnecessarily burden your children. The three pillars: health, a life partner, and financial security are the foundation of a peaceful and fulfilling old age. By investing in each of these areas, you're not only securing your own well-being, but also contributing to the well-being of those you love. The secret to moving on after the loss of a life partner. Have you ever wondered how to cope after losing your life partner? Life is unpredictable, and losing someone you've shared your journey with can leave you feeling lost and empty. Can feel as though the world has stopped turning, and nothing will ever be the same again. But what if there were secrets that not only help you survive the pain, but also thrive after such a profound loss? Let's dive into the inspiring stories of three individuals who have navigated this difficult path and discovered valuable lessons along the way. We'll explore how they found hope, independence, and happiness even after experiencing the deepest sorrow. The reality is that life is full of uncertainties. We can never truly predict how long our loved ones will walk beside us on this journey. As Nizaki once said, life is like a train ride, and everyone can only travel with you for part of the journey. When they must disembark, you should be grateful for the time you had together. If someone can travel the whole way with you, treasure them even more. Having a life partner by your side, whether in youth or old age, is a gift. But not all love stories last a lifetime. Some partners are taken too soon, whether through illness or accident. When your life partner is gone, the home feels emptier, and it can seem like your very foundation has crumbled. Yet, no matter how sorrowful or painful the moment may be, time doesn't stop for anyone, and the person you've lost will never return. When your life partner passes, you're left with the responsibility of healing yourself and continuing to live. Three individuals with personal experience share their stories, offering advice to those in middle and older age. They emphasize three key things to avoid if you want to live a fulfilled life after your partner's departure. Achieving this will bring you peace and happiness in your later years. 1. Getting lost in grief for too long. Imagine the overwhelming feeling of losing someone who has been by your side almost your entire life. The emptiness that follows such a loss is immense, and the memories of your time together become both a source of comfort and a deep pain. For Anne, 70 years old, this pain was all too real. When her husband passed away unexpectedly, she found herself standing at a crossroads. How could she possibly continue when the person she loved most was no longer there? At 68, Anne experienced the kind of loss that can shatter even the strongest hearts. When my husband passed away, it felt like a dream I couldn't wake up from. I walked through life like a ghost, without direction, without purpose. There were nights when I cried myself to sleep, staring at the empty side of the bed. Sometimes I even thought it would be easier to just follow him into death. And shared, The depths of her sorrow seemed insurmountable. But as she looked at old photographs of happier times, she had a moment of clarity. Maybe I need to keep going. My husband wouldn't want me to live in this shadow, no matter how deep her sorrow ran, and knew that tears could not bring him back. And so, she made a decision. She would live well, honoring his memory by living a fulfilling life, a life they both deserved. The separation between life and death is perhaps the hardest experience we can face. Once someone passes, they can never return, and those of us who remain must learn to continue without them, as painful as it is. No matter how joyful the past or how sweet the memories, we cannot stay forever in the past. The present offers us beauty, and the future brings hope. And learned that in order to honor both the past and the present, she had to look forward, not backward. It became not just her responsibility, but a way to give peace to her departed husband, and began focusing on taking care of herself. She knew it was important to stay calm, take care of her physical and mental health, and not let her grief consume her. Slowly, she adjusted her mindset, regained her confidence, and found the strength to live independently. She began to enjoy the simple pleasures of life again, eating when she was hungry, sleeping when she was tired, taking walks in the park, and strolling through the streets. Rather than relying on others for her happiness, she learned to embrace solitude with grace, nurturing her inner world like someone savoring a glass of fine wine, appreciating the endless journey of life. When loneliness crept in, she would call her friends, talk about anything and everything, and find solace in the quiet moments. In this way, and found that even the later years of life could still be meaningful. Losing a partner who has been your lifelong companion is undeniably one of the most challenging experiences anyone can face. And Anne's story highlights the importance of understanding and discussing this deeply personal journey. Her resilience reminds us that, while grief is universal, there is a way forward. Anne's story serves as a powerful reminder of the resilience of the human spirit. It demonstrates that grief, though painful, is something everyone experiences in their own way. Regardless of age or background, this shared experience connects us, offering a sense of solidarity and reducing the feelings of isolation that often come with loss. Anne's transformation from hopelessness to finding a new meaning in life also emphasizes the importance of resilience. Life can throw unexpected and painful challenges our way, but Anne's story shows that it is possible to rebuild and find purpose. Even after the most significant losses, this message is essential for those struggling with similar grief, as it provides hope and reassurance that while pain may never disappear completely, there is always a path ahead that holds joy and fulfillment. Anne's decision to focus on self-care during her grief was vital. It's easy to neglect oneself when grief is overwhelming, but her story offers practical steps for others in similar situations. She prioritized her health, found joy in the small things, and reconnected with friends. This approach encourages us all to take care of ourselves, seek support when needed, and find the courage to embrace life again. Another powerful aspect of Anne's healing process was her relationship with memory. By revisiting photographs and reflecting on happier times with her husband, and was able to honor their past while still moving forward. Cherishing positive memories can be an important part of the healing process, allowing us to celebrate the lives of those we've lost, while continuing to live our own. Finally, Anne's journey illustrates the importance of living in the present, while looking toward the future. She taught herself, and now teaches us, that while grief and memories of the past are natural, it is equally important to find new sources of happiness and meaning. This balance is essential for living a fulfilled life, even after profound loss. Anne's story is a profound reminder of the strength of the human spirit. It teaches us the importance of self-care, the power of memories to heal, and the necessity of embracing both the past and the future. Through her journey, Anne has shown that even in the face of immense loss, there is hope, and life can still be filled with purpose and meaning. 2. Overreliance on children. Have you ever wondered what life might look like for elderly parents living with their grown children? Do they find comfort and happiness in this arrangement? Or does it lead to unexpected challenges and pain? The story of Margaret, a 65-year-old widow, offers a glimpse into her emotional journey of living with her daughter and ultimately deciding to live alone. Margaret's experience highlights the importance of independence and finding true happiness in one's golden years. After her husband passed away, Margaret moved in with her daughter and her family. First, she believed that the mutual support between parents and children was a natural part of life. "I raised you when you were small, and now you'll be there for me as I grow older." However, after dedicating so much of her time and energy to her daughter's family, she began to feel that the response from her daughter was increasingly indifferent. Over time, she realized that the support she once expected wasn't as forthcoming as she had hoped. Margaret and her late husband had both retired, never imagining that they would have to face the aging process alone. She had hoped to grow old together with him, but after illness took him away, she was left to navigate life on her own. At the time, her daughter had just had a baby, and her son-in-law suggested that Margaret move in with them to enjoy her retirement years. Grateful for their offer, Margaret was happy to help care for her grandson and assist with household chores. Initially, her daughter and son-in-law even gave her money each month to cover her expenses, but as time passed, they stopped contributing, reasoning that Margaret had her pension. However, as her grandson grew, the pension no longer covered the needs of their four-person family. Margaret raised this issue several times, but her daughter became increasingly impatient, sometimes offering money, but often forgetting altogether. As is often the case when living together, especially when older individuals talk a lot, disagreements arose. Margaret began to voice her concerns about her daughter's spending habits and criticized her for not saving for harder times. When it came to raising her grandson, Margaret believed children needed discipline, while her daughter and son-in-law took a more relaxed approach, allowing him to develop freely. Slowly, the distance between them grew, and the respect that had once characterized their conversations began to fade. Looking back on those years living with her daughter, Margaret eventually decided to live on her own again. When she suggested moving out, her daughter said she would miss her, but Margaret could sense they were relieved. It seemed as though her presence had become more of a burden. While her help had been needed when the baby was younger, they had now become self-sufficient. When Margaret returned to her own home, she initially felt lonely and idle. Life had slowed down, and everything seemed simpler, but there was a void, an emptiness, as she no longer had the emotional support she had become accustomed to. Over time, however, Margaret began to embrace the peace and independence that living alone offered. She rediscovered old hobbies, took calligraphy classes, explored painting, and joined community groups, making new friends along the way. Slowly, her days became more fulfilling and meaningful. Margaret realized that what she truly longed for was a life filled with financial security, tranquility, and freedom. After the loss of her husband, she was finally living the retirement she had always dreamed of, free from dependency on anyone else. Margaret's story serves as a powerful reminder of the importance of independence and self-reliance in our later years. As life expectancy increases, many elderly individuals are faced with the challenge of living alone after the loss of their spouse. While living with grown children may seem like a practical solution, it often brings unforeseen difficulties. Living with children can lead to conflicts arising from generational differences. As seen in Margaret's story, differing views on finances, child-rearing, and daily habits can create tension in the household. Moreover, the feeling of being a burden can have a profound emotional impact. Margaret, after years of giving to her daughter's family, felt unappreciated and at times, unwanted. Above all, the pursuit of personal joy is essential for a fulfilling and healthy retirement. Margaret found happiness in her solitude, rediscovering her passions and making new friends. This highlights the importance of pursuing hobbies and staying socially active, key elements for a fulfilling retirement life. In conclusion, while living with grown children may appear to be a sensible option, Margaret's story reveals that independence often leads to greater happiness and fulfillment. Encouraging older adults to embrace their independence and maintain autonomy can contribute to a more meaningful and peaceful retirement. 3. Remarrying. Are you considering remarrying or finding a new partner later in life? Before making this decision, listen to the story of Mrs. Thompson, who, at 62, thought she had found the perfect companion after the death of her first husband, only to face unexpected challenges. Her experience serves as a wake-up call for anyone thinking about remarrying in their golden years. Let's explore the risks and realities of remarrying in older age through Mrs. Thompson's journey. You might discover valuable insights that could help you avoid future regrets. At 62, Mrs. Thompson thought she had finally found happiness again. After her second husband passed away at 53, she had been grieving for several years. She wanted to move forward but was uncertain about opening her heart to someone new. When her son, Ethan, suggested she try joining a travel club for seniors to get out of the house, Mrs. Thompson reluctantly agreed. What she didn't expect was to meet George, a fellow member of the club who would change everything. First, George was just a friendly acquaintance. But when Mrs. Thompson twisted her ankle while walking down the stairs one day, George stepped in to help her. He took her to the hospital and even stayed with her at home during her recovery. Gradually, their connection deepened, and after 2 months, George proposed. He expressed his affection and his desire to build a life together. Mrs. Thompson was happy but cautious. She promised to discuss it with Ethan before making any decisions. Ethan, though supportive, recommended she meet George's family and get to know them better before making any final decisions. George readily agreed, and soon they were having dinner together. Although Ethan was skeptical, he didn't outright oppose the idea. He urged his mother to wait and be patient, but Mrs. Thompson, feeling that George was the one, didn't heed his advice. They quickly married, and she moved in with him. In the beginning, their life together was peaceful. Mrs. Thompson handled all the household chores, which she didn't mind since she was used to it. However, tension began to build when her old friends invited her on a trip. When she excitedly agreed, George was upset, arguing that no one would be left to do the housework if she went away. Mrs. Thompson felt unfairly burdened. Was she only there to take care of the house? That day, they had a big argument. George said hurtful things, implying she was useless if she wasn't doing household tasks. For the first time, Mrs. Thompson began questioning her second marriage. Things worsened after they returned from the trip. George's son, John, had recently gone through a divorce and left his young son, Tyler, with George and Mrs. Thompson. Mrs. Thompson tried to care for Tyler as if he were her own, but the child was spoiled, picky about food, and would throw tantrums if things weren't to his liking. After several days, Mrs. Thompson could no longer handle it. She told George that John should take responsibility for his son, but George was furious. "You're not his mother. Don't interfere if you can't handle it," he snapped. Feeling increasingly isolated, Mrs. Thompson came to a harsh realization. Remarrying at her age was far more complicated than she had imagined. The acceptance of a new partner by the family was not always guaranteed. After months of struggling with the situation, she decided to file for divorce. Fortunately, the process was smooth. In hindsight, Mrs. Thompson reflected that while living alone could be lonely, it was still preferable to dealing with so many unresolved issues. Mrs. Thompson's experience highlights several key challenges faced by older adults when considering remarriage. First, remarriage often involves two people who have deeply ingrained habits and perspectives, shaped over decades. These differences can create friction and make it difficult to live harmoniously. Unlike younger couples, older individuals may find it harder to adjust to a new lifestyle or the expectations of their new partner. Mrs. Thompson's disagreements with George over household chores and travel plans are a perfect example of how such differences can cause significant tension in later life marriages. Additionally, the acceptance of a new partner by the family can be difficult to achieve. In Mrs. Thompson's case, the arrival of George's grandson added an unexpected layer of stress to the marriage. Family dynamics, such as children and grandchildren who may already have their own established routines, can be disrupted by the introduction of a new spouse. This lack of family harmony can create a hostile environment, which, over time, may become unsustainable. Another critical factor is emotional readiness. After the loss of a spouse, Many older individuals experience feelings of loneliness and fear about the future. These emotions can lead to a hasty decision to remarry, without fully considering the potential red flags. Mrs. Thompson's decision to marry George so quickly, despite Ethan's cautious advice, was made in part to overcome her fear of being alone. Unfortunately, her emotional need for companionship clouded her judgment, and she ultimately ended up in a situation that didn't align with her long-term needs. Finally, financial and legal concerns are also prevalent in second marriages for older adults. Issues related to inheritance, healthcare decisions, and the division of assets can become major points of contention. Though Mrs. Thompson's story didn't delve into these areas, they are an essential consideration for anyone thinking about remarrying later in life. While the desire for companionship in later life is understandable, Mrs. Thompson's story underscores the importance of careful reflection before remarrying. Understanding the potential challenges, from family dynamics to emotional readiness, is vital for anyone considering a second marriage. Taking the time to assess one's own needs and expectations, and ensuring that both partners are fully prepared for the commitment, can lead to a more fulfilling and stable relationship. Remember, while the company of a new partner can be a blessing, it's essential to approach this life-changing decision with the wisdom and patience that comes with age. Losing a spouse can feel like an insurmountable challenge, leaving us standing in the midst of overwhelming grief. Yet, it's important to remember that even in the wake of such loss, the possibility for joy, fulfillment, and personal growth still exists. The path to healing doesn't lie in clinging to sorrow or depending too much on our children, nor does it lie in rushing into another relationship for the sake of distraction. It's about rediscovering yourself, embracing independence, and choosing to live a life that's rich in meaning. Taking the time to care for your health, engaging in activities that bring happiness, and building new connections with others are key steps toward this new chapter. It's a journey of transformation, where you cherish the memories of your loved ones while also making space for new experiences. As you walk this path, remember that life is precious, and every moment is an opportunity to heal and grow. The stories of Anne, Margaret, and Mrs. Thompson serve as powerful reminders that though grief may be a natural response to loss, resilience and self-care are the true forces that allow us to move forward. These steps, patience, self-reflection, and reaching out for support, help us navigate through even the darkest of times and find the light once more. If this resonates with you and you feel inspired to take action in your own life, share your thoughts with us by commenting 9. Or, if you're not ready to take that step just yet, simply comment 0. Your feedback matters deeply to us as we continue this journey together. Remember, you're not alone on this path, and if you want to explore more stories, insights, and support on how to navigate life's challenges, consider subscribing to Cultivating the Mind. Join us on this journey of growth, strength, and empowerment. We're in this together. Thank you for being part of our community,